guy I go to gym with, so one day we met and met. So he said, "Oh, nice to see you with some clothes on." Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone here. I'm Constable Mike Beard here in Fort Bend County Precinct 1. I'd like to introduce some of the elected officials that are here that signed in. First, Miss Edie Sinclair, she's Precinct Chair 1010. Andrew Bohotch, he's a Neville Councilman, Mayor Pro Temp. Judge Brenda Mullinex, 387 District Court. She stepped out. Ernie Stewart, Mayor Needville. Diana Waters, she's representing Senator Boris Mile. Here comes Judge Mullinex right here.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome all of you here tonight. We appreciate you taking time out of your evening to be here. It's important to you and it's important to us as well. And I also would like to thank all of our county employees for being here tonight, as they could be home with their families, but thank you very much for being here tonight. And then I'd also like to thank Pastor Greg Garcia for his hospitality tonight. Pastor, thank you. We appreciate it. I would like to just let you know that this, as you can see, is called a Citizen Fair and Judge George Listening Tour. And the reason that is combined as such is that my staff and I have visited and been attending many HOA meetings over the past 2 years since I've been in office, and we've seen these types of fairs that the HOAs would put on. And as you can see, we had tables set up here so that each department could give you information. And when Judge George got elected and wanted to do these listening tours, this is perfect, is that we were able to combine what we wanted to do as a citizen fair, which we had planned to start here anyway. So with the judge being doing the listening tours, it was able for us to partner on that to do this for continuing this as we go on throughout the year. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to the Honorable Judge George.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, and this is your turf. And that is, yeah, when, last year, while I was campaigning, one of the biggest problem I have noticed communicating with our community, even though county we have 65% of our county is unincorporated or ETJs, yet a lot of people had no idea what county, what services they provide, who is the county judges, other than the involved people. So that's why I put this item as a number 2 priority. Could you hear? Okay. Number 2 priority as listening to our citizens. And we wanted to take our county government to our citizens and listen to them, because there's a lot of questions and concerns, and how you can take care of this or that. Some cases people didn't even know. And that's where we decided we have to do something like this. But at the same time, we wanted to partner with our precinct elected officials, and also, of course, our top counties, top elected law enforcement officer, Sheriff Nels, and all these people, and so that people could come and see and learn and understand every aspect of county, how they are playing a role in your life to make your life a better, and your place of wherever you live is a better place. And that's why we are taking this to you. And tonight, we are here. This is our 3rd listening tour. We did one in Precinct 4, and it was a full house. And We did one in Precinct 3, and this is Precinct 1, and we will be coming back again. And we wanted to continue this process so that we are engaging our citizens to let them know, and they could communicate with us. And I just wanted to know that because our office is open. We have an open door policy. You come and talk to us, whatever you have wanted to communicate with people, and we will be available. And also, I just wanted to thank this particular event. Absolutely, this beautiful church opened up for Pastor. Thank you very much for that. And obviously, when it comes to the precinct, our commissioners, our constables, and justice of the peace, they are the boots on the ground, and that's why we decided to work with them, and obviously we are here. And looking forward for your communication, your interaction with us. And once again, this is something new, and obviously, Commissioner mentioned he is planning to do, or he was doing this kind of stuff, and so we were doing it county-wide so that we could listen from our citizens. Once again, thank you for this evening. You all are here, and I know that you have so many things you could have been doing. Instead of here, you could take care of your family or getting ready to go to work tomorrow, but you're here because it's important to you, to learn what is going on in the county government and how we are working hard. And also I wanted to comment our department heads, every one of them here you could interact, and also numerous of our staff here. Thank you, every one of you. You all work hard to make this happen. And once again, thank you for this opportunity. Take advantage of this opportunity. Come and talk to us. And even though we don't like to hear what he had to say, I like to hear that. And so talk to us, and we will definitely make sure this evening is worthwhile for your time. Thanks once again. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
And then next we'll have the Sheriff Nels and then Constable Beard.
Thank you, Judge. Good evening. My name is Sheriff Troy Nels. It's truly an honor for me to be here this evening. And those of us, I believe everyone in this room that calls Fort Bend County home, I think we're blessed because we live in the greatest county of the 254. This county continues to grow 25 to 30,000 people each and every year. And as your sheriff, what I have seen is that with the number of people moving into this county, we are not seeing an increase in a lot of the crimes. Crime is remaining pretty steady, level. We've seen a 65% reduction in residential burglaries over the past 6 years. And what that tells me is the type of people that are moving into Fort Bend County are good people. I think they're coming to Fort Bend County and they're doing their research. They're looking at the public school systems, and they're looking at the safety and security of the neighborhood, and they're proud to call Fort Bend County home. I appreciate the relationship we have with your Precinct 1 Commissioner, that we have with your Precinct 1 Constable, the Needville Police Department, and all of the residents that call Precinct 1 home. It is truly an honor and privilege. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. I am at your service.
As the sheriff said, we have a great relationship between the Sheriff's Department, the Precinct 1 Constable's Office, and Needville ISD-PD, also with the City of Richmond and the City of Rosenberg Police Department. So the main function of the Constable's Office, some people don't know, is to serve the courts. And we have over 20-something courts in Fort Bend County. Precinct 1 is right at 600 square miles. We average about 1,500 papers a month. When I say papers, that's citations, summons, reference to criminal issues, civil issues. We work with 2 JP offices, Judge Gary Jansen's office and Judge Murray Ward's office. So we're a very busy precinct. Again, as the sheriff said, I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the Constable's office. And again, thank everyone for coming out tonight.
And then next, we're going to start with our department heads and go across this table, but as well as across this room, as these are the men and women who spend every day making sure county government works. And first, we'll start with Mark Vogler, our drainage district engineer.
I'm Mark Vogler with Fort Bend County Drainage District. And for those of you that aren't aware of the Drainage District, we maintain over 600 miles of creeks and streams throughout the county. Our responsibility is to maintain the capacity in those streams as they were constructed to. We mow them, we spray them, we do erosion repair, we do desiltation. We also work on water gates and bridges and low water crossings, and also work with the County Engineering Department on regulating developments so that they don't increase the flooding problems that we see in Fort Bend County. And our office is in Rosenberg, but we maintain channels throughout Fort Bend County. Thank you.
I'm Greg Zook with Fort Bend County Road and Bridge, Superintendent, and we have over 1,900 miles of roadway that we maintain. We also do the drainage ditches on the roadside ditches. We can't go on private property. We maintain all the signage, and we do the mosquito spraying, the herbicide, and we have 4 locations. We have one here in Needville, one at Crab, one at Beech Nut, and one at Derry Ashford. And we also help with the drainage district. Anytime we need any upsize on culverts, we call them to give a flow that we need to increase pipes or anything of that nature. And just feel free to call us if you have any complaints. We'll try to correct them.
Howdy, I'm Stacy Slavinsky. I'm the interim county engineer for the Fort Bend County Engineering Department. The engineering department, we oversee the development within Fort Bend County. That includes commercial, residential, subdivision. We oversee the platting, and then we work with Mark to make sure that the drainage is not impacting the surrounding properties. We also have a traffic engineer on staff that will do any type of traffic study that is needed throughout the county, including traffic signals and signage and striping. And we also have a GIS department that offers all types of useful information on our website. You just go to fortbendcountytx.gov and look for the county engineer's website, and you can see all types of maps showing the floodplains, property boundaries, and just about anything else you can imagine. So if you have any questions, get with me afterwards, or I'm up here for the next couple hours to take any questions you have. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Mary Devine Kendrick. I'm Commissioner of Health for Fort Bend County. What Health and Human Services does is work with our policymakers, the rest of our department directors, our community members, to create the conditions for our community members to be healthy. We have a good number of services that we provide, and I thought I would start out by introducing the directors of those areas. So let me start off first with our Deputy Director of Health and Human Services, Dr. Kay Reynolds. Environmental to do what we can to keep our community members healthy. Thank you.
Good evening. Mark Flathouse. I am the Emergency Management Coordinator for Fort Bend County. Approximately 3 months ago, when Judge George came into office, he made some changes with emergency management and created the Homeland Security and Emergency Management's office and put me as Emergency Management Coordinator. For the last 6 years, I've been the Fort Bend County Fire Marshal and working with the fire departments along with the police departments and the Sheriff's Office for first responders, and now Emergency Management Coordinator working with that office to make sure that we're here to communicate in any type of disaster and utilize our first responders for the citizens of Fort Bend County. It's also a partnership with almost everybody that you have listened to already. It's a partnership of that communication going out to the people, and that's what's important. And that's one of the things that we're doing moving forward. We're getting prepared for hurricane season. We're working together on that. And the one thing that I'm going to come, if you come away from here, is we got a table in the back. I've got my Deputy Chief, Alan Spears, back there, along with my Assistant Chief, Stephen McDonald. But they have some information back there that you can log on, FBC Alert. One of the things that we have done is that we've kind of beefed up our alerting system that you can use your phone and the way that county can communicate with you, not only at times of disaster, but if there's an issue in the community or the community reaches out to us, we can fine-tune that to a local area using cell phones or using the area towers, and we can push that out just like an Amber Alert and everything else. These are some of the things that we're bringing to the table, and we're going to be doing a test right before hurricane season to let everybody that signed up. But there should be a flyer back there, or you can go on our website and you can log in and have your phone immediately, or do a QR scanner and immediately get that information so we can push the information out. Communication is the key moving forward, working with the judge's office and the commissioner's court, and making sure that we're there along with the first responders and move everything forward to make sure that the protection is there. Thank you.
And next, we'll have a few more departments, but if you have any question cards or comment cards, please pass them this way. That's how we'll start the question and answer portion. But also, if you didn't get a chance to submit them, we have staff here, Robert Quarles and Xavier Herrera from our offices, who will give you a question card that you can pass over, and we'll make sure they get addressed. So they're here. Please ask questions. And then next, we'll have Grady from TxDOT talk about some of the work they're doing in Precinct 1.
My name's Grady Mapes. I'm the TxDOT area engineer. I oversee Fort Bend and Waller counties. Sorry, can everybody hear me now? We've got quite a bit of work going on. If you've driven around the county at all, you can see that. We have quite a bit of work coming up. I'm sure State Highway 36 may be a topic of discussion or some questions tonight, so I'm available. My office is just up on 36 across from the county fairgrounds. I'll be here answering questions if anybody has anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Grady. Next, we'll have Ken Edward, our Director of Human Resources.
Hi, if you have time, please come by and see us. Take advantage of meeting these two lovely ladies and pick up these very collectible ballpoint pens that we have. And they have, they're very expensive. They also have the website that all of our career jobs are posted on. Please join our 2,800 member family of employees at Fort Bend County. We'd love to have you join us. Thank you.
Then next, we have a nonprofit here with us, ICNA, who would like to say a couple of words about the services they provide.
Hello, good evening. My name is Aisha Mohammed. I work for ICNA Relief USA, Islamic Circle in North America.
That your offices handle.
Well, Sheriff can correct me if I'm wrong on anything. The main duties of the constable's office, as I said earlier, is to serve the courts. We have to go through the same training as every sheriff's deputy does. We have the same powers to arrest. In fact, if the good sheriff would ever get in trouble, I'm the one that would have to arrest him. That's right. And we don't think that'll happen. But we have the same powers as the Sheriff's Department, but we actually have to go through 20 hours of civil process training that the Sheriff's Department deputies don't have to go through. And again, we're mandated by law to serve all the courts for papers, for civil process, criminal process papers, and that's the way it's been set up in Fort Bend County for, I don't know, for the longest, probably 30, 40 years or more. So that's the main difference in our jobs. Is we service the courts. Again, like I said, we can go out and write traffic tickets just like the sheriff's office. We make arrests like the sheriff's office. I actually have 2 warrant deputies and a warrant sergeant, and we have over 8,000 warrants in my office, and we work very hard every day to clear the ones that we have that are mostly issued out of the JP courts. But as far as training goes, we all have to have the same training except for the civil process that my guys have to go through. But as far as powers go, arrest powers, we all have the same. And we work very well hand in hand together. Am I missing anything, Sheriff?
No, if I could add to that. They will tell you the county has 800,000 people in it. And about 550,000 of the 800 live in the unincorporated areas of Fort Bend County, meaning they're outside of the municipalities. So how does the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office provide law enforcement services to 550,000 people? We do it with 819 personnel and about a $78 million budget. So the constable is correct. They take care of a lot of the civil process running through the courts, and the sheriff's office is the primary law enforcement agency that deals with criminal law and crimes. We have a crime scene unit. We have detectives, 50-plus detectives, 69 dispatchers. And I can tell you, folks, that the status The status of your law enforcement in Fort Bend County is strong today.
For the next...
Did we answer the question?
It was anonymous, I believe so. So for the next part of the question and answer, for anybody that has a name, Xavier Herrera, this young man here, will be bringing the mic to you, and you'll have 1 minute to state the question. The question we have is from Nikki Stavanova regarding the landfill, I believe for Dr. Kendrick. And Nikki, are you here?
Hi. I think anyone that lives in this community can attest to this, that the landfill stinks. We have had a really bad problem with the smell in the area. We have spoken with the CAP members, we've called TCEQ, and nothing seems to be getting fixed. We're also concerned about what's being dumped there. I had Channel 13 come out and do some investigations. There's pictures of liquid trucks going out there, all kinds of dump trucks coming from all over the place, not just our area, all over. And we're concerned citizens about what's going on, and we've got to do something about the smell. I mean, it's reaching all the way here to the school. It was very embarrassing at a track meet about 3 weeks ago when all the people that came to that track meet were like, oh my God, it stinks. This is awful. How do y'all live here? That's embarrassing. So just, what are we going to do? We got to do something. Do y'all have any plans or know of anything?
Dr. Kendrick.
Well, let me just start off saying, and I know that you've said that you've communicated with TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. In Fort Bend County, the health department does not monitor. We're not the permitting agency for this plant. And you've contacted TCEQ. Have you contacted the EPA also, the Environmental Protection Agency? Okay. Right.
Dr. Kendrick, let me go ahead.
Yes, and you started on the right path, which is with TCEQ, but also contacting the EPA. And I think between the two of those and Commissioner Morales' office, we can work with you on that.
Sorry, I thought I was loud enough. Sorry. And when they go out there, it's either when the wind isn't blowing in the direction that they test, or it's not at the right time, and that's 21 days later. I mean, that they should be there within an hour or two. They could even be there the next day, and they would probably still smell it. And it just doesn't seem like the TCEQ is doing proper monitoring of what's the smell is and investigations of it. And I'm just, Morales, you may have a lot more for me. And I know we're going to talk again on Thursday, but
yes.
I did want to bring it up for the community.
Yes, let me just elaborate on that a little bit for the others in the audience that might also have a concern. That is TCEQ controlled, but back in January of last year, there was some complaints on that, and what my office did, what I did, is we immediately actually put together citizens that were complaining. We put together a 5-citizen CAP, which is a citizen advisory panel. And a lot of those are your neighbors. And we have met out there quarterly at WCA at the landfill. And they have seen the operation. They have seen how things work. They are advising, I think, Nikki, you've talked to some of them. They are advising on what you can do with calling the TCEQ. I will tell you that they have been putting out every Friday, we get a report from them of anything that might be out of the ordinary, that could be causing some issues. Unfortunately, the TCEQ, the county has no control over that. It's the TCEQ. But as your commissioner, what I thought would be the best thing is to get citizens involved and they're educated on the operations of it so that we can, as citizens in my office, can monitor that. And I will tell you, they have been very open to working with us, working with the CAP, and to making sure that if there's any issues that are out of the ordinary, they will let us know. But we hear you, and the citizen, the CAP hears you, and we're going to continue to make sure that they're doing the right thing. I will tell you, I'm very fortunate to have 2 landfills in my precinct. I have Blue Ridge and I have Long Point. Blue Ridge, when I came into office, was in litigation. I will tell you that the judge ended up throwing it out of court, that Pearland had filed a suit, and they found that Pearland had no jurisdiction. It's TCEQ, so it was thrown out of court. But I have been to that facility twice now. I wrote a letter to the TCEQ stating that I expect them to follow all of the proper guidelines of that landfill. So to do it, to make sure it is serving our citizens in a safe manner. Same thing with Long Point. The thing about this one, it wasn't in litigation. I couldn't form a CAP down at Blue Ridge because of the litigation. It also created problems between the citizens and the facility, whereas Long Point stepped right up, WCA did, and said, we welcome you bringing a CAP. And a lot of those people, I got to tell you, a lot of them said, we just thought that they dumped trash and covered up. But that's not how it works. And it's just an education process. But I promise you, we're here to do everything we can to make sure that they follow the law. So. Well, yeah, it's not ever gonna. It's probably not going to be ever 100%. Same thing with Blue Ridge. It's better, but I can tell you that what we have asked WCA to do is to monitor it and to improve whatever equipment they need to do, whatever, to improve the quality of life for our constituents. So I hear you, and we're still working on it, but you got to remember, Blue Ridge was way before I was even in office was a problem. So it was years, but I'm hoping not that we don't get to that point. So we are trying to do the best we can to work with the TCEQ, to work with WCA, to try to do what we can for reducing the smell that you have.
Commissioner, we're going to go ahead and go to Jay in Needville now, who has a question on Payton Road, asking you about the traffic. You want me to read your question for you, sir? You want to come up here? Payton Road between 36 and Fritzella, just make sure I get it right. Or where the schools are is a bit hairy. Lots of traffic and no shoulder. Are there any plans for Payton Road, plus the issue with the young driver? So Payton Road, improvements, or otherwise the issue with the traffic and how difficult it is. So perhaps Road and Bridge, TxDOT, the Commissioner?
Well, I think that would be a road bridge question or engineering.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take it.
To Stacy or Greg.
Hey, Jay. Payton Road, that is not on any of our future plans right now. I do understand my daughter drives it every morning, so it's narrow and has deep ditches, and it could be a dangerous road if they're not paying attention or if they're driving too fast. What I would suggest you do is to send a request to our office. We're always looking at adding to the list of future projects, and the more requests like this we get for a certain road, the better the chance that it'll be put on a future, possibly a future mobility plan. Commissioner's always looking for these ideas as well. You also mentioned the road that connects 36 and Payton. Is that Griselda? Yeah, one thing to keep in mind with Fritzella Road, that road actually belongs to the school district. But Payden is a county road, and then 36, like Grady said earlier, that 36 is going to be under construction here probably within the next year or so. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is about the animal shelter by Lorraine Lindsay. Is Lorraine here? We'd have 1 minute, and for Dr. Kendrick.
Hi, thank you. I'm Laureen Lindsay from Rosenberg. Thank you for this opportunity. I've noticed the county shelter is doing a lot better on their Facebook page lately. The posts have been more cheerful and positive, so thank you for that. However, there used to be a problem that I feel needs to be addressed. Last August, I respectfully asked a very basic, simple question, and my comment got no response. Even worse, and to my shock, my comments were deleted over and over. I believe taxpayers are entitled to ask questions to public entities that our taxes support, and when this happened, it was very concerning to me. Like I said, things seem to have gotten better on their Facebook page, and I appreciate that. I haven't seen this happening lately, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen again, but I needed to address the issue with you and ask, why did that happen? Don't taxpayers have the right to respectfully ask questions on social media? Thank you.
Dr. Kendrick.
Absolutely. I don't know the specific item that you're speaking about. We do have staff that work very hard to get information out on Facebook, particularly regarding dogs and cats that are available for adoption. And we have 2 people now. We just hired an additional person to help us do some additional work with social media. So we should be getting even better kinds of information out to help get our animals adopted. Please feel free right at the end of this to speak with Renee Vasquez, you know Renee, and also Barbara Voss about the social media component, and we will try to address that with you. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kendrick. We're going to next go to Ms. Rosa, who filled out a question card. Would you like to read it, Ms. Rosa?
Good evening. My name is Rosa Saade. I'm coming from Pearland. I live obviously in the Fort Bend part of Pearland. And first of all, I wanted to thank you because finally, after I would say 8 months plus, we were able to get the attention of Fort Bend, and we were finally able to make it on the website and be recognized as a city, like having City of Pearland recognized on the Fort Bend County website, and I'm really thankful for that. My question was to you is it possible, please, to bring back the First Amendment to the Commissioner's Court, like the Texas Open Meeting Act stipulates? Because I've tried in the past to go to the Commissioner's Court, and unfortunately I had to sign on a paper that I have no right to bring any subject that is outside of the agenda items, or else I will be, there are some consequences where you can be escorted out of the court or banned, etc. And I believe I should not have the fear to go to Commissioner's Court and express my concerns or anything that I would need to express as a constituent. And therefore, I would really appreciate, and I believe the constituents would really appreciate if we could bring the First Amendment and have the freedom of speech. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I didn't have this as a question, but since she mentioned about the social media, I also have faced this being blocked on social media, and I would really appreciate if this is something that is being done about it. Thank you.
Okay, maybe, I don't know if we need to get the county attorney. It seems like our question is about, as public session and city councils is often the case, a person could speak. Okay, Judge,
Yeah.
if you could answer.
Hello? Okay. So thank you for driving from Pearland. I know that part of the Fort Bend County. I've been there, and I know a number of people live in that area. And that's the whole idea tonight. And we wanted to hear from you. And I appreciate if you could communicate with our office, and let's have a conversation about your concerns. And absolutely, I will include a commissioner also in that discussion. And so if it is something important we need to address further, we will make sure you have a voice. And let's have that conversation first, one-on-one. And my chief of staff here, numerous of our staff, Hannah Quadri and Sochi, and there's a lot of our staff around here, and have that conversation with them, communicate, come and visit us. Looking forward to hear what you have to say. And that's the whole idea of this event. And so your voice is going to be heard, I promise you that. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is also anonymous, but it's a hot topic. It's about Highway 36 and any developments that have been going on, and what is expected for the area from Freeport and whatnot. So I think Judge and Commissioner have been involved in this process. If you want to talk about just the future of Highway 36 and possibly where we stand.
Okay, Highway 36, of course, is a TxDOT controlled road. And Grady, if I say anything, just correct me. The expansion of it is actually, it's supposed to be let from Pleak through Needville. It's going to be let in August of this year, from what I understand. And that, when I say let, that means they have 60 to 90 days after that before construction starts. Is that correct, Grady? All right. So that's really the status of that. Between Pleak and I-69, that still has issues with right-of-way and utility relocations. So there is no set timeline on the construction of that. But going to the county line, we will start seeing activity after probably the end of the year or first of next year, is what I suspect. Is that correct, Grady? Yeah. All right, thank you. Did that answer the question, or Judge, would you like to?
We're going to go ahead to Rick Sinclair. Rick, do you want to ask your question?
Sure. Thank you very much for coming out.
Can maybe lose the mic. Can you just belt it out?
I'll belt it out.
There you go.
The question is, and Commissioner, this is probably for you, what is the county's position on the proposed property tax cap, and what is Fort Bend County currently lobbying in Austin? And my concern is what happens if Fort Bend or Needville in particular, we go through another Hurricane Harvey, or in Needville's case, we're getting ready to go through a massive challenge in providing infrastructure to the citizens. So looking at it from the outside, it looks like the proposed cap, the Senate Bill 2 that is working its way through, it appears to take the decision-making authority from smaller communities like Needville, and that's my question.
Very concerning, Mr. Sinclair. I will tell you, the judge and I both have expressed our deep concerns over what that's going to do with the 2.5% cap. As of today, it did pass the House, and that also includes no COs, okay? So you would not be able to do any certificates of obligation to be able to serve your citizens in the proper manner that we're elected to do. So I will tell you that that 2.5% cap, we've actually instructed our budget office today, right, Judge, that we need to look at what that's going to do with this, because if it passed the House, we're very concerned that it's going to pass the Senate. And I will tell you, from day one, the court sent a resolution opposing that cap, that 2.5%. I was hoping that we would at least see a 5 to 6%, where it's 8% today, at least a 5 or 6. It is going to be as a former mayor, it is going to be hard on your city. I know that. It's going to be hard on a county, with a $375 million budget. It's going to be hard. So, Mr. Sinclair, we're with you. It's our legislators that, and I'm not saying our immediate legislators, but our legislators are not listening to us, because I'm afraid we're going to end up having some counties that are going to be hurt, and cities. Go ahead, Judge, I'm sorry.
No. Just simply wanted to echo what Commissioner said. I tell you this, we are not against, I just very clear about this. We are not against capping property tax. But the problem is, my question to legislatures are, you created counties so that you couldn't do the job of taking care of people. And so now you're saying, I'm going to tie your hand behind and go do the same job. And we said, actually we went to testify and we told them that. And we are not against cap, but take away a number of unfunded mandate from our, we have to do, you tell us to do it with no money. Take it away. We are not against it. Somewhere it's capping. I echo Commissioner just said, this is simply hindering our ability as a county, as municipalities, your cities, to do their job just in case. If there is an emergency, how do you handle it? And it's hindering our ability. And so we are really vocal on that, and we believe it is not fair, and it is politically driven. And so in Fort Bend County, as you all know, we always see, this is the thing about it is we all believe in local control, and then it comes to local control. I believe Austin thinks that local control ends in Austin. And so that is, it's a political thing. So I believe we are against it, and we actually passed a resolution to support that. And so I believe our legislatures are supportive of what we are talking, at least most of them. So you need to reach out to your state rep and your senators and state your opposition to it. And so that when they hear more of you talking to it, and it is maybe going to be, and the only place it's going to be stopped at the House, and at the moment it looked like. And so we need your support in that, and so that we could serve you better. And that's the bottom line. Thank you.
Judge and Commissioner, I believe the Alderman had another question about what are some of the other legislative priorities that Fort Bend County is working on. Would you all be willing to address those?
Yeah. And
I'm not an alderman. I'm running for alderman. I'm not a current.
My apologies.
And some of the legislative, and obviously, as you know, we came a little bit late into the game, and we came on January 1st. The legislative session already started. So, but still, we did not waste any time, and we have a number of initiatives, and one is actually the saving the pets in the hot car, and it was initially passed about the elderly and children, but the last minute, some lobbies took out the pets from that particular bill last time around. So we wanted that to include in that bill. And so we love our pets, and we want to take care of them, and we should have that freedom. And number two is actually using a drone in non-emergency situation, because at the moment we cannot use drone, and in anticipation of, and there are law enforcement and our OEM director here, and they will, I hope they agree with me, because it is important to know what is coming. And so we are taking that initiative, and a couple of other initiatives from County Judge's Office, and I know it is political, maybe some people think this way or that way. Fort Bend County have a lot of uninsured children and also uninsured adults, and we believe, and I know it is a long shot, we believe the Medicaid should be expanded. And also another issue we are talking about is voter registration, the possibility to apply for voter registration online. Let me be very specific about it. It's not about voter registration online. You are applying for voter registration. I believe it is important, because we talk to our election administrator. We come to know that around 20% of the cards we receive, they cannot either read it, or for some reason it's not clear. And so if you type in your name, most likely it's going to be correct. And I think citizens of state of Texas should have that ability to apply for voter registration online. That is also another initiative. Then we are talking about, we all know that our voting machines are close to 15 years old. And also we come to find out more than 50% of the problem with our voting machines happened last 18, 20 months. That means these machines are old, and also the vendors are not even servicing this anymore. And so we need to get new voting machine, and we need to update our voting system. That's the base of a sound democracy, and we believe we should get it done. But the problem is, thank you, the problem is it cost us around $10, $11 million. County doesn't have that kind of money. And so we want our legislature, it is not a Fort Bend County issue, by the way. It is a state of Texas issue. And we wanted to make sure our voting, the sanctity of our voting system is being preserved. And so we believe this old machine need to be replaced. And so that is something we are also asking our Austin to do it. And these are some of our legislative initiative. Commissioner, you wanted to add something?
Oh, you've covered it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And that's some of our initiative this year. And there are more, but I can only talk about our office's initiative. And I hope that.
Bridge engineering and.
Two-part question. First question is, what is the timeline for the construction of Old Neville Fairchild Road? And the second question is for EMS. What is the timeline or the status of getting an ambulance in the city of Needville and the Needville area? Not a squad, an actual ambulance.
All right, I can answer the question about Old Neville Fairchild. As you can tell, we relocated all the fences late last year, and we went ahead and cleared all the additional right-of-way that we've acquired. We're still working with CenterPoint to make a few adjustments to that power line that's on the east side of the road. However, the west side of the road has an underground consolidated line that we're working with Consolidated Communications to locate that line. There's also a couple of pipeline crossings that we're still working with those pipeline companies. So basically we're waiting on multiple utility companies to make adjustments, and as soon as that's in progress, we can go ahead and advertise that project, and we hope to be under construction by probably late summer. I'm thinking once the utilities get started, it's going to take them 3 to 4 months to finish, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the roadway construction. It's going to be some overlap. That Old Neville Fairchild Road is going to be at least a year, and if we start it at the end of the summer and 36 starts at the beginning of the year, then there's going to be about a 6-month overlap on those two projects.
Right. We've been moving EMS-wise on a fairly methodical way to get as many of our stations set up. And so I'm going to turn it to our Chief of EMS right now, Greg Temple. Can you talk about MICU in the Needville area?
Thank you for that question. So we've been expanding over the past 4 years, on a plan to reduce response times, as also providing a first responder on scene in our more rural areas, as well as an MICU or an ambulance. Right now, the Needville area, we've been working with the fire chief and collecting data and statistics over the past several years to determine what is the best time to put the MICU here. We know you've got a large growing school district, you've got a large growing community, so it is definitely one of our priorities. And right now I can tell you that within the next 2 budget cycles, that's when we're planning on putting in some expansion for southern Fort Bend County and the Needville area, as well as maintaining a squad for both the more rural areas towards Fairchild and State Park area. So EMS has definitely been growing over the past several years thanks to the judge and commissioner's court. So this is, as Dr. Kendrick said, it's very methodical of when we're going to put those units in service. So it is coming, and I'm very proud to say that our response times have dropped significantly over the past several years. So we are arriving much faster, providing you advanced life support. We work very well with our first responder agencies, the Needville Volunteer Fire Department, as well as other fire departments through the county. So you're getting either a first responder or an EMT on scene. Our paramedics are arriving in a chase vehicle or a Tahoe, and then the ambulance arrives to continue stabilization and then transport you to the hospital.
Is the ambulance in Rosenberg staffed full-time?
We have several ambulances in Rosenberg. So Medic 31 is at our station. That's what we call a peak truck. and that truck is staffed a majority of the time, depending on staffing. So it's our extra staff we call.
That ambulance used to be full-time. It used to be in service all the time. And that was the ambulance we were getting in Eagle.
Correct, and we put Medic 14 in Beasley. So that's now the primary unit that's coming here.
Further response.
In all actuality, by the mapping and our time and statistics, coming from Beasley to the southern and western portions of Needville, it's actually about the exact same. And then the Medic 31 truck, when it's staffed, it also takes over this area. So we have what's called response cards, and whenever that truck is in service, it's immediately the first truck here.
But it's not all the time.
Not all the time. That's part of our, we have flex staffing, so we have additional staff on shift. And if people are off on vacation or call out sick, then those staff members have to go out and fill those vacancies. Should we are able to provide other coverage with individuals working overtime, then that truck does remain in service.
Thank you, sir. So our next question comes from Miss Janet Dawson of Sweetgrass. Janet, are you here? Okay, very good. Janet, did you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Oh, sure.
Here you are, ma'am.
I love to talk. This is for our law enforcement agencies. I want to know if you have any kind of special training for your officers when they are dealing with a mental health crisis of citizens. I know that it's not physically possible to train everyone in knowing how to handle those, but you can certainly, it seems like, have a response team that is trained in how to handle people who are having a mental health problem and a breakdown, and also for just a general knowledge of your officers so that they know what some of the warning signs are that someone is going into a mental health crisis.
To answer your question, when I said Fort Bend County, we live in the best county of the 254, we are only one sheriff's office in the entire country, in the entire state of Texas, that has 1115 waiver. And that is a federal, through Medicare, Medicaid, where 10 of our deputies, CIT, Crisis Intervention Team, we have 10 specially trained deputies that do nothing but respond to a person in crisis mode. So let's say someone has an adult son living at home or an adult daughter who's maybe has bipolar, schizophrenia, and they're having an episode. We dispatch a CIT deputy to that residence because the intent is, does Johnny or Susie need to go to jail because they're now off their medications and they're having a bad day? No. The whole intent behind the program is to divert them from our jails, because the Harris County Jail is the largest mental health provider in the state of Texas. And I couldn't agree with you more. My personal belief is mental illness is the #1 threat to this county, this state, and this nation. We have to do better as people, for humanity's sake, to deal with people that are suffering from mental illness. The number of people in this county, in this state, that are suffering from depression and other things, they're trying to mask their pain with either opioids or alcohol, and it's becoming an increasing problem, and then law enforcement is being charged to try to handle this. It has gotten so much better. I've been doing this 25 years, and it's gotten so much better, because years ago, we used to just lock up Johnny and Susie and throw them in the county jail. But now we have specially trained deputies to deal with what you're talking about. We have 225 in patrol, and I know constables' offices are getting involved too, and we're sending them all. It's a process, but we're sending them all to 40 hours of mental health training. So we are doing so much better than some of the other counties, and it's done through a federal grant that we started about 6 years ago. Now, Commissioner, you're not going to like this. The 1115 waiver is leaving. So now the county is going to have to pick up some of the pieces here, some of the funding for this. So we're placing that in the next budget cycle.
Just to add to what the sheriff has said, we were fortunate in the 1115 Medicaid waiver to get funding to provide for the crisis intervention team. And so through the Department of Behavioral Health and the Health and Human Services Department and the Sheriff's Office, the funding was provided specifically for that. Prior to the funding, when there was discussion, community input regarding what are the important needs within Fort Bend County, mental health, no matter where we went and who we talked with, mental health was always at the top of the list. So that was a very important priority for us. As the sheriff said, the funding is going to go away within the next 2 years, and so we've been looking at sustainability for that. Regarding the question of training, a big part of this program, the Crisis Intervention Team, is training not only the sheriff's staff, but also the police departments within the cities within Fort Bend County. So that training has been ongoing so that everybody's on the same page regarding what happens when a call is made that has a mental health component. The same thing with our EMS. Our EMS staff are also trained so that we pull all of the pieces together. But that is a funding stream that's going away, and we've been looking at the sustainability component. Thank you for the question.
And I just want to add that with myself, I have 19 officers in my office. Currently, I have 15 of them trained that have been to CIT training of 40 hours, because we knock on lots of doors every day. And I tell my officers, if you come across a situation where they feel that someone has a mental health issue, or they feel that, to contact the CIT team, and they will come out and evaluate that person and get them some help. And I know in the last 2 years I've been in office, we've probably had 6 or 7 situations where that has happened, and we've been able to get those people help. So when I hire a new person in my office and deputy, I look at their training. If that's one of the classes they do not have, I try to get them in that class as soon as possible. That was one of the things I decided when I came into the office, that I wanted every deputy in my office to be CIT, at least go through the training to realize a situation if they came across it. And I will say the Sheriff's Office does a great job with their CIT team, and they need more of them, Commissioner and Judge, because 10 are not enough, because I promise you, they stay busy.
Mr. Sinclair, would you have an effort to go and call every senator tomorrow and make sure they don't pass that bill? Because 2.5% cap is going to restrict us to do things that we need to do for our constituents and for those in need. So I encourage every one of you tomorrow to please call your representative, call your senator, tell them you cannot have these unfunded mandates put on us and restrict us with just what the sheriff said. He's going to have to come to Commissioner's Court. What is our budget going to look like? Anyway, I just want to say that it is something we're going to have to address, and thank you for that question.
Thank you. The next question is from Andrew Bohack from Needville. A couple of questions here. Port of Freeport, 36A, Missouri Freeport, and here you are.
Thank you. Thank you for having this today. I really appreciate it. I think it's been some good communications here. My question is about mobility. Us in Needville here, we're really concerned about mobility because we have to be able to get to our shopping centers, our work, and it's very difficult sometimes because we're having to travel these small roads, and so I wanted to make sure that mobility is an issue that you understand is very important to us here. We've had mobility bond in the past. And I think what Needville or the Needville area got out of that were token projects. The old Needville Fairchild Road was a good project, but it was on a mobility bond, 10 years ago? And it's still not been done. It took 2 mobility bonds before they could get enough money for it. So, I want to see that, we've got the support to do that. And also to support some other things that we've got that are affecting our mobility. One is the Port of Freeport. From what I hear, we'll probably see 200 to 300 trucks a day coming out of the Port of Freeport, and a lot of them are going to come up 36. And if they're going to Kendleton, they're going right through our historical downtown area. And I want to make sure that it's clear that we're concerned about that here, and we want to make sure that you're helping us work through this issue and get through that. The 36A Coalition is working on a plan to go north with that. And, that's coming right through Needville. So transportation and mobility is very important. I know we can't come up with answers today, but I want to make sure that you understand that we're concerned about it, and we want to see what you're going to do about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bohack. As you said, there's been previous mobility bonds. We've had 2007, 2013, and then, of course, thanks to all of you, we had 2017. This is my opinion, Judge. I think we need a 2020 mobility bond to move forward. I feel that the county would have the capacity to do that, but that's something that we'll talk about in the future. But as far as right now, one of as you can see, 2007, 2013, when I came into office, you are correct. A lot of those were just stagnant. And every one of those projects is moving forward now. 2017, every one of those projects, which the Precinct 1 ended up with $55 million in projects, which equates to probably almost 3 times that with our partners between municipalities and TxDOT, and moving those forward as far as on design, and it will, to me, we're moving projects quicker than we have in the past. I guess to answer your question is that is a priority of mine, is mobility. If you don't have mobility, economic development is going to stop. If you don't be able to get from point A to point B, you're not going to be able to continue to grow. And here's the thing: whether we want to grow or not, it's going to come. So we've got to make sure that we are ahead of that with the mobility bonds and things that we need to do. I will tell you that all of the 17s are either they're out to design, they're coming, and Stacy, you can probably elaborate on this, but as far as we are moving forward a lot, in my opinion, a lot quicker than we have in the past. Is that correct?
Yeah. One of the biggest delays with our mobility projects is the right-of-way acquisition process. In the past, that's taken up to 2 years for us to acquire all the right-of-way for our projects, and we've managed to condense that to just over a year. And then once we acquire all the right-of-way, then we have to clear it and get the utilities relocated. So yeah, it can be frustrating at times because you see progress, and then like Old Neville Fairchild, we were out there clearing it, and that was 2 or 3 months ago, and nothing's happened. That had a lot to do with the weather. Consolidated wasn't able to get their crews out there because everything was just muddy. But we are trying to expedite these 17 projects. We got the right-of-way going a lot quicker than we have in the past, and we hope to trim at least a year or more off of the scheduled completion of those jobs.
Thank you, Stacy. I just wanted to add some general statement about mobility. To me, mobility means quality of life, and that's what it means. And so you all know that 1970 census, Fort Bend County had 70,000 people. 49 years later, we are 780,000. We are going to have 1 million people by 2022-23. So, sir, that is a wonderful question you asked. It is so important, and every day we talk about it. How do we prepare to have an additional 220,000 people coming and making Fort Bend County home? How do you move those people? How do you make mobility a #1 priority? And they talk about, obviously, Commissioner and the county engineer talk about specific project, but I just wanted to say our vision, my vision, collectively, Commissioner's Court vision for Fort Bend County, we have to invest in our future. And I believe infrastructure, facilities, things of that nature, if there is a need, if you don't invest today, you're going to pay much more to make it happen tomorrow. And so I believe I will be working with the Commissioner's Court. Each and every commissioners understand their constituency, their precinct, and their need. But I'm committed to work with every one of them. And also, Commissioner, you're the one said about 2020 bond, not me. And so I just want to make sure of that. Okay, so you know, so the point is, you know, that is rightfully Commissioner said. We have to have these kind of things done. Otherwise, I tell you, if we have a gridlock kind of traffic situation, people are not going to move to Fort Bend County. People come to Fort Bend County because we have better, you know, transportation, we have better schools, we have a better, like Sheriff a few minutes ago said, we have a safe place to live. These are the reason why people come, and we want to make sure they continue to come. And so we will do everything possible to make that happen, in my opinion. Thank you.
The record shows that we have 30,000 people a year moving in Fort Bend County, whether we like it or not. And so it is important that we all work together on trying to have mobility as a priority, because like I said, and the judges said, it is a quality of life. So to answer your question, you know, thank you for asking that, and I hope that if we put forward a 2020 mobility bond, that you all would support that, because it's very important for our future. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Judge. We're going to go about 3 or 4 more questions, and pair from this side of the room. I'm going to go to Mr. Robert.
I'll tell you that I was very frustrated that was there when that road opened. We have already taken upon ourselves, as far as the county, to do a study that has already been submitted to TxDOT and to make that a full signal. So that is going to be, that is definitely a very good point. And as far as, Grady, you want to answer the other question? Or?
Sure, so the signal at Williams Way 59 is, the contractor has plans already. We are awaiting pricing from the contractor. I've told them it is a priority to get that in place. And so we are working to get that upgraded from that flashing red to a full signal. 59 between Sugar Land and Rosenberg. Right now, if you drive out there today, you'll see there's a lot more pavement on the ground than there was probably 6 months ago. We anticipate opening.
Go to a question provided by the host, our gracious host of this beautiful facility, Pastor Garcia. Pastor, I'm going to go ahead and let you pose the question.
All right, you're good. All right, so my question is this. We, during Hurricane Harvey, we were asked to open up the facility, and we housed about 85 people and 22 animals for about a 4-day, 5-day time frame. We had people being bussed in on Katy ISD yellow buses, and people coming in from Katy being dropped off here. And so we're happy to do that. We'll do it every single time, obviously. But how do we become an actual recognized shelter that gets proper communication? Because we didn't know what was going on, and I know it was epic. I mean, I get that, but how do we become official to be able to get the proper communication that we need to know? So who's coming and how long we're going to have them? Is there some process that we need to go through to become official?
Well, I cannot wait to answer that question, because I was waiting for that question. I tell you, one of the reasons when I came into office, that was probably one of the reasons I ran for this position, because we had, in my opinion, I thought we could do a better job in communicating with our citizens. Obviously, with the new emergency management fire marshal coordinator, Mark Flathouse, we already talked about our vision. Mark, I will let you to explain. My vision is to create a blueprint where the nonprofits, the school system, and also the municipalities, county, we all come together and create a blueprint where if people live in a certain area, like let's say example this area, they should know in advance where they could, just in case if they have to evacuate, where they could go and be safe. And we are working on it, and so we are hopefully we would be able to create at least a draft version of that plan before the next hurricane season. And that's my vision.
Before hurricane season hits, and then also so it's also visible so everybody sees where the shelters are, along with coordination with HHS and everything else because of services. You know, if we want to talk what took place during Harvey 2 years ago along those lines, was It was really tough. American Red Cross is supposed to be working with us, but with the Houston area and all the regions being overtaxed, it was just very difficult to get people where they're supposed to go.
Yeah, because that was interesting, because I had a phone call from American Red Cross from the state of California that was talking to me, and they were going to be sending us a unit to help us out here, and then somehow, some way, they got diverted somewhere else, and they never came here. So we were kind of like our own command center, working with Needville PD and just taking care of things. We eventually turned this church into a warehouse. We had an 18-wheeler and like an 18-wheeler and a half of things that came in, and we were distributing it all over the place. Just wanted to make sure we were working properly with you. So once again, our thing is, again, I know it was epic beyond belief, but we just want to become official with y'all. How do we do that?
Well, there's two things. Is number one, I'll reach out to you this week and work with the current Office of Emergency Management staff, and we'll make sure that that gets coordinated and understand. The second thing is, you got a really great fire department here, and I know that they take care of the citizens here very well, along with the PD moving forward. So being from the fire marshal side of things and working with that and the communications that we had during Harvey through our center, we knew that y'all were being taken care of on one scale across the whole thing, across the entire county. Now, is that an answer? It's not. But knowing that we have great resources here, great communications and partners, we can make it happen to where you can take care of your citizens of this city. And basically over this next week, we'll reach out to you and we'll make sure that we coordinate that with you, and we'll have the numbers. See, the key is also with all these shelters and everybody that keeps saying we need to have a shelter here and here, we have to strategically place that and make sure that we have traffic that can get here along with supplies, because the worst thing that we want is to set up a shelter and somehow not be able to get there. And so we've got to be strategic, and if something's flooded in one area, we got to coordinate it somewhere else. So we're putting that together, and the more information we get on how many we can hold, what you can do here for people, what type pets, that becomes another question and concern that gets asked a lot. And so all those things put together is what we're working on right now to provide to the judge's office over the next month and a half.
Thank you, Mr. Flathouse. We're going to go next to Denise Kathy Johnson, who has a question about Fresno. Are you here, Denise? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read her question. It's one that we get often. We get phone calls from the Fresno area, and she says, "Why is the southeast side of Fresno constantly ignored? And don't say it's not, because it is. A lot of flooding, bad roads and streets. Please help us." So I think Commissioner Morales or Mr. Zook with Road and Bridge, if y'all could tackle this one.
I'll defer it to you.
Unfortunately, Fresno's not in my area, but it's in your precinct.
That's right.
My counterpart, Roby Tate, but it's not neglected by all means. We did some paving here last year in there. There's several roads in there that need repaired just like everywhere else. Me and Roby, the other superintendent, work together, and we try to disperse the money that we have in road materials everywhere. And unfortunately, some people don't get as much as they want. But like we've been talking here, the county's growing, the traffic's getting enormous. There's certain areas of dead-end road might not get the attention this year that it should have gotten 2 years ago, because we had to go to another road that gets a little bit more traffic. But they do have ditching problems. I know there's been some, Mark might be able to touch base on that. There's some outfall ditches that Brazoria County said they didn't want any more water from Fort Bend County. Not sure where that area is in Fresno. Like I say, I don't get over there. The only time I get to go over there is when Roby's not at work, when he's on vacation, then I cover the whole area. But they're not neglected. They do get road construction. We're blading some asphalt here recently on some of the roads.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, actually we got some asphalt from TxDOT last year. Every year. And we ended up using a lot of that down in that Fresno, Arcola area. And that's really surprises me, because I had a lady walk up to me from the Fresno area at Farmer Alan Owens' last day of the city and said, "Commissioner, I want to thank you." And she said, and I said, "Thank me for what?" And she said, "For fixing my road that I've been waiting 10 years on." So we have been addressing that. And the one thing is that as your county commissioner for Precinct 1, one thing that our former judge said that he did see that I did was that I address every area of Precinct 1, no matter where you are. And Fresno Arcola has gotten the attention. And we have addressed drainage issues down there through Road and Bridge. Has been very good to work with on that. And we used just about all of that asphalt this year down on the roads in Arcola, Fresno area. So I'd like to find out where that's at so that we can make sure that we get that on the list for the next round.
And that's a good point because we get allocated so many tons of asphalt from TxDOT, and all that goes to the area over in Fresno. We pick that area.
Tony? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My question is about the animal shelter expansion. I wonder why there was zero engagement with the public in regards to designing the shelter. It's very obvious the existing building does not serve the purpose of saving lives. It seems animal welfare is not a priority in this type of building that is old-fashioned. It has no AC, no heat, no greeting area, no sunshine, no separation areas for disease control. As a taxpayer and animal-loving person, I want to know, was the $1 million spent on an architect that understands humane sheltering of animals? Since the county declared to go no-kill, did anyone tour any no-kill shelters in our region to learn how the design can make a big difference?
Dr. Kendrick?
Yes, certainly. The expansion that we have currently is for intake of animals coming so that we can do an immediate assessment in an area that's separate from where other dogs and cats are being housed. It will have a surgical suite where our veterinarian and vet technicians will be doing spay and neuter and will be taking care of those animals. One of the unfortunate issues is that we have so many animals that are being picked up every day that we continue to have a need to expand and expand and expand the facility itself. And I think that's unfortunate because it shows that as a community, we're not really doing all of the things that we should in terms of responsible pet ownership. We have made a number of strides. We've had expansion of shelter facility about 4 or 5, a little longer ago, and now we have the facility that's just been built. Our facilities department took the lead on the facility itself, and they had talked and met with others to look at what would be the best way to expand that site based on the amount of budget that was available. And so we pay a lot of attention to infectious diseases and how diseases can be spread because the animals that we pick up, we don't get to choose. They come in whatever state of where they've been living. So they can come in with a number of diseases. And so we spend a lot of time making sure that we have identified those animals and that we have separated and isolated them. The bottom line, as I see it, is that we have a lot of need. We are addressing that with our staff and also with the volunteers that we have. We have brought in several external agencies to work with us, Best Friends Society and also Alley Cat Allies, and they have come in and they have done assessments of where we are and where we hopefully can move